just don't know why.
I think it's live.
Oh ho ho.
Man, your face is looking extra spicy.
Is it? Look at that thing. Ooh, I got some nice color on that thing. Let's gotta see if it's good to go. What's up, everybody? Another Wednesday, another live review. Today is on episode 7. We do the front clip of it. We put it back together. And honestly, this is one video in one episode that I do not remember anything about. I just remember the grill. And after that, I don't really remember much of anything beyond that. So I do think that Kyle did the majority of the work on this, because you did everything around the coolant package for like the mounting points.
I don't remember.
Yeah, see? It's been so long. So this will be a fun one to watch because we kind of are watching it again. And I guess we'll discuss it, and we'll talk about things that pop up into our minds, because for right now I really do not remember anything about this video. So it's
Hammer us in the comment section.
Yeah.
Tell us what you hate, so we can hate you.
Unless it's us. Oh, I have the funniest comment to show you at the end of this, when we're done watching this. Some guy posted it on one of the shorts.
Oh, I think you showed me that.
Oh yeah, I sent you the picture. Mm-hmm. We'll show you guys. Some guy was like, "This looks like crap."
Still looks like crap though, or something.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny, and yeah, we'll just dive right in there while we're watching the old Toyota commercial. Oh. Man, I am looking so yellow.
I know.
That's okay.
Wonder if we could change the color on your camera real quick.
We're gonna adjust the color on my camera because I'm looking very jaundice. Properties.
Wasn't it called something else?
I thought so. But while Kyle's messing around with that, we did post another video this past Saturday.
I mean, it actually doesn't look bad on
Actually,
here.
no, it doesn't. Yeah, it looks fine.
Oh,
it's only when I turn every now and again. I wonder if it's when I'm closer to your light. Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, we posted another video this past
there we go.
This past weekend. We are tearing down the donor truck. Got it completely all chopped up and things like that. So check it out. We pretty much just have a chassis that we need to get rid of at this point. Take some leaf springs off, the bumper. But yeah, you guys didn't see the donor truck. It kind of explains why we kept it, why we have it, and parts from it that we're going to take to put towards the CrewCab itself. Essentially, we're just hoping that between the two, we have a complete CrewCab right now. But with the donor truck, we need to steal a couple parts. We're going to use the leaf springs off of it just because we're able to get those repacked and refinished while the CrewCab leaf springs are still on the chassis. And then when the time comes to put everything together in final assembly, we can take the single cab leaf springs that are already repacked and finished and just toss them onto the CrewCab right away, so we don't have to wait for that to be done. So check the video out and let us know what you guys think. And I think we're good to go.
All right.
Spirit, you roam on paths called impossible.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the 7th episode of our F750 CrewCab build series. In the previous episode, you saw us mock up and install that monster of a coolant system, which means in today's episode, we're actually, and I pinky promise, actually going to bring in our cab, set it back into place, bring in our fenders, and start mocking up body panels and our grill to fit this monster of a powertrain under the hood. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Stay tuned. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. All right, you guys, very first thing we need to do today is we need to clean up this mess we've created. We've kind of neglected the shop for the past couple weeks just to keep chugging along at the truck. And so for us to get the cab back into place, get the fenders down, get all the body panels in place and figuring that stuff out, we need to clean up everything and start tidying up the shop.
What?
So with the power of editing, there, much cleaner. Everything's out of the way. We kind of got a clean slate to bring the cab in now. So that is next up for what we are doing. We're going to bring the cab into place, get it mounted back onto this chassis. So
What?
there's nothing to it but to do it. Come again?
What are you saying? Man, speaking in a different language.
I don't know. We go back in.
Alright, I'll do it.
Isn't it interesting that I was looking at a picture.
Whiskey Dan, what's up?
How many
what's up,
single-family
sir?
houses,
So,
single-family homes would
really
it take
quickly,
to equal
It
one?
was like not even like a
multifamily
minute
deal,
ago.
like-
I got another
You want to
guy.
pause
All right,
this?
you guys, update time. We got the cab.
So, a while back, I was looking up crew cabs on YouTube, like custom crew cabs or like self-made crew cabs, DIY crew cabs. And Whiskey Dents has a slick side, so he took a 60s single cab, cut up 2 of them, put them together for a crew cab, then he slammed it. So, he's got a bunch of cool videos. He's also doing a giveaway right now. What he did was he took a F600, a 60s F600. I think it's a 66. You'll have to correct me. And he shortened the frame, put a truck bed on it with dually fenders and stuff like that. So it's like a little shorty. The thing is super cool. And you guys will have to check that out. His channel's really cool. He's got a slick side crew cab now, which I'm super envious about because I could never buy one. Dude, those things are so expensive. I saw one on Facebook Marketplace, actually a Facebook page, a couple days ago, and it was a non-running one, no transmission, no motor, nothing. It's pretty much just the cab, and they're asking $19,000 for it. Yeah, so slick side crew cabs are super rare, super hard to find. So the fact that he built one from scratch and made it look like a factory one, pretty cool. So thanks for joining us on our live, and I appreciate you watching because I watch all your videos as well. So
You have jaundice again, dude.
dude, I'm so yellow, like, oh my gosh, I need to go home. I need to go to the hospital and get a shot. These dang lights, you know, every now and again we just need to, honestly, before we do a live stream, we just need to sit down and actually match his camera settings to my camera settings. They're 2 different cameras, so I think that's the issue. Right now I'm looking like the yellow color on the truck. But I did want to point out, it's interesting. I was looking at a picture of the crew cab from this side, and the doors have the same exact dent in the exact same location. Like, if you see that?
Yeah.
So on each door, the front and the rear, there's like the exact same indent. So I wonder if that's just an issue, because on the other driver's side door, there's one in like the exact same spot too.
It's probably where people push to shut the door, though.
Especially with how tall this is.
Well, because it's a pretty tall truck to begin with.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
I doubt, you know, and the weight of the doors, there's nothing supporting that large section in there. I think if you slam the door hard enough, you could probably get that bump
Yeah.
and pop in.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Back into place. It's pretty surreal seeing what it used to look like, and now we have a whole new drivetrain in here. And anyways, so remember we had to remove the cab just to get the transmission into place. There's no way to keep the cab here mounted and get the transmission in place, and luckily we did, because on the far right hand side over there we are actually hitting the cab to the transmission. So there's this little flange right here. This one's good, but there's an exact replica of that on the other side, and we're hitting it. So yeah, that obviously causes some issues.
Kyle and I were talking about a couple different options we had. One of them was we could start grinding down the firewall and the transmission tunnel. But the easiest solution, and one that we're gonna go with, is we are just gonna order some body mounts and lift this up 1.5 inches or 2 inches. Now, people might give me some flack for that, but here's the deal. It really won't affect anything because we have to build a custom front end for the fenders and the grill and everything anyway. So by moving the cab up, it'll give us plenty of clearance to the transmission and the
It's been a fun
undercarriage of
project
everything.
so far. So,
It will give us a little bit taller of a
you
vehicle.
have to watch our recent videos
but
because we're a lot
at the end of
farther
the day, it's
along
kind
than
of what
just
we
this.
have to do.
So
Now remember, we have to fab up the fenders and all the mounting systems up front anyways, so it doesn't affect it. We're not trying to bolt on factory parts to factory mounts. So it's not going to affect anything. We have to custom make things anyway.
I watch
So
myself on the videos.
that's the update for now. We are just going to probably block it off with something that is close to 2 inches so we can kind of keep going with everything else.
That is.
But
who is that guy?
yeah, we're going to kind of brainstorm on our next move on this, and we'll let you guys know. So we decided we're just going to keep chugging along. That was Kyle's decision just because he made a really good point. We still got to make sure the fenders clear everything, so it doesn't matter the height of the cab. We still have to make sure it's all going to fit into this engine bay. So up next is we are actually going to reinstall our fenders. So we have our inner fender and our outer fender, and we can kind of start figuring out where exactly they're going to land over here and where our grill is going to start, things like that. So that's up next for us. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's get after it.
Like, oh, it's like nothing to it but do it.
Where you were standing, it's that car pushed too many times. Stuck.
Tightened up the old back end, huh?
Into the back.
Trust me.
Going full dolphin.
So we had a customer reach out and they couldn't decide which knives they wanted to pick. Our support.
Ad revenue is cool until you have to watch your own videos if you're bored.
Yeah. You do some merchandise revenue.
Get rid of the ads.
That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Being a new channel, if like merch revenue would be a lot better. than
Offset
ads,
the yeah. Instead, I'm always wearing like BDS suspension and fusion bumper shirts. Look how nice that.
All right, you
line
guys,
is. We have,
fenders
like-
on very, very roughly. Yeah, the mic's facing the right way, Kyle. Sheesh. You do something once around here, then he never forgets. He's got a steel trap of a mind. Anyways, we got the fender very loosely on. We just have
Remember-
it, a couple bolts on. Obviously.
Remember when you would put the nut for the grinder disc on backwards, so it would never.
Oh my gosh.
It would never pinch the actual grinding wheel.
Okay, so a
That
little
was what-
backstory.
I told you you should put that in your video, and you know what? Those never made it in there, and I was literally waiting for him. I was like, oh, this is the time right here when Joe put the. I was like, and he skipped it. I remember even one time I grabbed the camera, and I was like,
Which
hey,
one?
Joe.
Oh, one of the times.
Yeah,
I
I
did
was
that.
like, hey, Joe, what's going on with that grinder? And you're like, not putting
Okay,
that in the
guys,
video.
I'll admit it right now. Okay, so there's been a couple times that I took the grinder and I replaced the wheel, and for different like flapper discs or your cutting discs and stuff like that, the nut on it goes a different way to either lock it in place or to like sandwich it essentially.
And what did I tell you? What was gonna happen if you messed it up again?
You were gonna publicly disown me.
No,
embarrass
I was
me.
going to video.
Do you know what I'm gonna do? The next video, I have all the clips from everything. I'm gonna add it and be like, this was from 2 years ago, and Kyle told me to add it, and I never did. I'm gonna find that video and do it. So anyway, so essentially, I kept having them backwards. So I'd put like the grinding disc on,
And then
and
you'd flip the nut where the shoulder side was pointing towards the disc, so then the shoulder would hit before it actually pinched the disc. So then it wouldn't do nothing.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, this thing is broken. This thing sucks.
Like, Kyle, don't spin. No spinny.
Yeah. Yeah, I was stupid in my young age of this project. Well, because here's the thing. I work for my dad's construction company, so it's like I do a manual labor, but it's not this stuff.
Yeah.
So when Kyle's doing stuff that's like second nature to him because he does this every day, me, I don't really think about it, so I'm just like doing it and like, dude, this thing sucks, it's broken, and then Kyle's like, you're an actual idiot. So I will find those videos, mark my words, and I will add them to the next video for us.
You should do like a.
So I don't know where you're going with
bloopers.
this. Yeah, I wanted to, when this project is done, I wanted to have a whole entire video of just like bloopers throughout the whole entire project, because we have like 2 years of bloopers essentially.
Yeah.
Like I have videos of Kyle telling jokes, of him doing magic tricks, all this stuff. And I think, dude, it'd be kind of cool to just see like
magic trick.
And essentially I would do it in chronological order. So it'll be like the beginning of the project. So it won't be like just jumping around. It'll also like progress with the build. Does that make sense?
That's true.
So it'd actually be kind of cool because he'll be making a joke, and in the background you might see us working on the engine.
Right.
And then one other joke might be us painting, or you know what I mean? Like you'll actually see it in order.
Yeah.
So I'll have to do that.
Why did the elephants get kicked off the beach?
I don't know.
They were walking with their trunks down.
Kyle doesn't have any kids yet, but he's gearing up for those dad jokes.
See, body lines don't match up 100% or anything like that, but yeah, honestly, if
Okay, that hood matched up
You look
really
at
well with that fender, like right
line
off the
with
bat.
the hood, it's pretty nice. And then it's like, So the scallop of the dent side.
What noises am I making? Do you hear myself over there?
Now you're the one moaning.
Anyways, the scallop of this dent side is obviously off, so we got to work on that. But we kind of want to just keep tossing one thing at a time
and with
on,
how well the
and
reveal is,
kind of
it really
seeing
makes
how it
me
fits
lead
with
to
everything
believe
else. So
that
that way
it's
we
the
don't get
goal.
ahead of ourselves by putting everything on and then having to pull everything off just to adjust
one's
one
not
little
even
thing.
dented.
So we tossed the grill
No, I
back
know, but
on.
remember the
Obviously,
hinges
it's
are all
looking like
jacked
Mater off of Cars, you know, with that
Remember how it
buck
got
tooth.
hit, we think?
But I think it's gonna go, doesn't it? Look at it. Guys, tell me in the comments if this looks like Mater or not. Anyways. So I think with some trimming up, this grill's actually gonna work pretty well. Obviously this bottom
Psych.
piece right here is mainly what we're getting caught up on, and we're gonna just take that off. We put it on it for just namesake.
The nice thing is with the new grill, we can
When
actually
we
add
put the
that
coolant
back.
system on,
Can't
so
I don't know if it'll.
yeah, and that's another thing. We don't want to get too crazy because we have to raise the cab a little bit. So we're not going to cut into this or do anything that's going to be permanent just because we don't know if it's going to be permanent or not. So next up is we're going to jump to this other side really quickly, toss it on.
Open the hood. Show opening the hood.
Oh yeah, we'll open the hood again.
Man, these ads are, placed really well.
Marcus is a connoisseur of anything that's free. So he was happy to read the disclaimer on TurboTax.
I think so. Look at all that. All the space. Obviously, there's an inner fender that comes
all
down here, but
this
we're gonna have so much
space.
room for activities under there. We have so much room for everything we need. All the battery boxes.
It's funny because Kyle and I were just talking about how full that engine bay got and how
Yep.
quickly it got full.
So-
it's wild.
Next up, we're going to jump to this other side, toss this fender on. Obviously, it's not going to be 100% bolted on, but it gives us a good idea of kind of where the fender is going to lie. Right here, we're going to bend it back and tie it back into the cab. Probably
Lies.
have
all
a mount
lies.
where the two factory bolts are already.
I thought we were gonna have to
Um,
do that, but the way
That
you
way
did
we
the
can bolt this
the
fender
inner
onto
fender.
it as well. So, so far it's looking really nice. I'm really surprised with how well everything's
well,
going.
you
So
remember you took
we're
the
gonna jump
top
to the other
of the core
side
support, and that's what you like.
and get
so
Kyle
that's what
another
gives
beer.
it a ton of stability and rigidity.
This after we got the cab raised?
No, so essentially we do this and we raise the whole thing together. I think. Also, side note.
All right, you guys, new day here,
There
which
we go.
means the
I'll
parts
find
I
out
ordered a
later.
couple days ago have arrived. That's kind of been holding us up to keep going on test fitting and mocking up fenders.
Oh.
So here we have some
Oh.
nice new body mounts. They're polyurethane. I figured
they?
since the cab's already up,
They are.
might as well replace them. The ones
They
that are
don't work,
here
remember?
currently aren't terrible, but like I
remember
said, since everything's up, they're exposed. Might as well do these so we don't
For
have
the
to do
rear,
them in the
they'll
next
work,
year or
but not for
two.
the
So
front.
the next thing we have that are here are these pucks, these body lift pucks. And I know body lift lifts are kind of frowned upon. They kind of have a negative association with it. Unfortunately, that was pretty much all we could do here because for the sake of the transmission and the coolant package fitting, we needed a little bit more space. So here we have just 2-inch pucks. It's not going to be too dramatic.
Here's where we start with need more space.
Yeah. And so it begins.
Need more space. Doing this because we need more space. Oh yeah, because the IDs are completely.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, update time. So we went to go put our new body kit on in our lift, but we ran into a little issue. These are a hair bit too big for the pre-existing factory holes. So essentially what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to bore it out a little bit and make them fit to these. I purchased 1976 CrewCab body mounts. But Kyle just informed me that I probably got the wrong one since the cab and the bigger cabs are probably a little bit different than just your factory ones. So I'm going to learn this the hard way. We're going to make
From a
this hole a little bit
pickup to a
bigger and hopefully they
C-class
fit.
truck,
So we'll let you guys
Ranger.
know here in a second how they look.
Yeah, so the cab itself is the same.
You
Obviously,
gotta tell them how I did this. This is ingenious
Yeah,
on my
okay, yeah.
part. So, to get a center hole back on it, we found a hole saw that would cut the exact hole that's already there. And I cut out a piece of wood. And I cut out 2 pieces of wood so it would stick through. And then I used the wood in the center of the hole saw to be my guide to bore these out. You'll see it right there.
Yep.
See that? Look at that.
it's like a little cork. Because we didn't have to take off a whole lot.
No.
Like, I feel like we still need to adjust those. They don't look right. Or are they? Like, will these like rub on the frame or on the cab?
They should.
All right, you guys, it's a new day back here at the shop. You guys just saw us pretty much put the new 2-inch body lift pucks on here. We actually ran out of daylight and we were using shop lights and we kind of got over it real quick and it was getting pretty late. So next up what we're going to do is we're actually going to move to the front of the truck and do the exact same thing you guys just saw. We're going to jack it up. We're going to bore out the factory mounting holes, and then we are going to put our new mounts and our new 2-inch spacer pucks in there, and hopefully that'll give us the ride we need. All right, you guys, before I do the front 2 body mounts, I wanted to give you a quick little
Brag about
rundown
you
on
right now.
how we bored out these holes to make them wider
Oh.
for our new body mounts. So essentially what's the issue is we are using a hole saw and we don't have a step drill, which means when you're trying to bore out a hole just a hair bit bigger, there's nothing for the pilot bit to attach to, which keeps your hole saw centered. So what Kyle did was he cut this out. It's a perfect
giving you all this
diameter
credit. You
of
beat me
our
to it.
hole saw.
Oh.
So what essentially this does is it goes into your hole and it
Baby.
doesn't allow it to move side to side. It's essentially just a spacer. And with the spacer in, your pilot bit can now officially go into this, centering it in your hole, which will also center your hole saw where you need it to go. And the end result is these
I'm gonna
bad
cut
boys
this
just
and
pop
make it
right
into a
back into
short,
place
because I feel like
and
that's quality
kind of go on from there.
information.
Just a piece of wood.
But a step drill would have actually been really nice if we had a step, because
They're not.
This
they don't
is the
cut-
all-new
Oh,
Snap
do they?
4
Remember,
Lux,
because
the
they
foam
only
grip
make,
that
like-
doesn't
yeah.
suck. It's made from aircraft-grade aluminum, and it's
Yeah.
about as thin as a nickel, or 3 times thinner than
yeah, the one we have would have gone right through it.
Well,
No.
the steps aren't deep enough to make it through all the way through the material by the time it's trying to cut the next step. So it would have worked, but then
the hole would have been too big at that point.
Well, no, you would have had a taper. So it would have been like so if you came in from the bottom, the top of the hole would have been fine, but then the bottom of the hole would have had like a taper to it because of the other marks.
Yeah.
The cut spots just aren't deep enough for the type of metal.
And really quickly to talk while we're doing the front. So I did buy the correct polyurethane body bushing kits. It was for a 1976 CrewCab. The issue though, the backs worked. Now they were just a little bit smaller or too big, so we had to bore that out. So on a traditional F250 or 350, they would have worked. Well, the front mounts on the bigger heavy duty trucks are different than the front mounts on the traditional pickup trucks. Right. The traditional pickup trucks have like this thing that comes out and then it has the circular holes for it. This has
a saddle mount.
Yeah, exactly. So these have a square, and essentially the rubber bushing like folds over it. Remember that? And then everything mounts through it. So we still have to figure out. I essentially need to buy like replacement bushings for this. Yeah. And then kind of we can go off of that.
You should be able to. You should still be able to get them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they made the saddle mounts because with these bigger cabs and these bigger trucks, it made more sense because there's actually like a bar underneath the cab, so it's like almost like a C, but it's like a tube that goes all the way across and back up. And with those saddle mounts in the front, it keeps the cab from wanting to shift forward or back.
Oh yeah.
Basing it off acceleration and deceleration, so it keeps the cab kind of more centered. As far as forward and back, and making it so it doesn't move. It won't move as much.
They do that because of like towing. Like if you're hauling more weight, you have more weight kind of pushing you forward when you're braking.
No, well, no, it's just because I think it's just the design that they decided to go with these bigger cabs, and also the frame is different.
Yeah, that's true.
So with the frame being different, it probably made sense just to use some bolts and some brackets and to hold on to that channel piece on the cab than it would to make a bracket and have the other style. But yeah, it's
because if you think about it, where the rear mounts are, they're very narrow.
Yeah.
Like in the cab, whereas the fronts are like the furthest out points.
Yeah.
Like they're all the way out here right before the fender. So I'm sure that gives it a little bit more stability too.
Right.
So.
You know what? Some I thought about doing on this, but we're not using air brakes. Was putting air right in the cab.
That'd be sweet.
Well, not on the seats, the whole cab itself. So we would have mounted it in the front and basically made it like a swivel system. So we would have made it to where the cab itself can like flex. It would have been hard with the fenders and everything being hard mounted up front. But if we would have made the front of the cab have like a pivot section, like basically a bolt going through, so that pivot,
yeah,
and it only has to be like 2 inches, and then you put 2 airbags in the back where the mounts usually go, and a little level. Basically, has a little rod sticking out, and it goes through. So like when the cab's too low, it kicks the valve one way, and then the cab raises up and it turns it off. Or if it goes too high, it lets air out and stuff like that, so it can meter itself. That way, you're going down the freeway and you hit over some bumps. The cab will kind of like bounce with you.
Is that the same setup semis have?
Yeah.
That'd be wild. How does that work with semis in the front? Do the fenders not attached to the front? Because at some point, one of the cab and like the front fender or the front clip like fight each other, or no?
Well, your hood's usually different, so your hood doesn't.
Oh, it's a tilt hood too. Huh?
Yeah, your hood tilts forward. And everything on the cab is mounted right basically at the firewall.
Oh, and those things, the hood and the fenders are all in one. Mm-hmm. So that's how you can get it. Oh, okay. Because I'm just trying to think critically here. I'm like, how would that even be possible? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen some people do front tilt hoods and like they essentially just weld everything together. Like the whole front clip, they just weld together. Let's go.
But then everything has to be standalone without any.
Yeah.
So everything has to be standalone, and then you close
it. Yeah, we're picking up our coolant reservoir and our battery packs and all that.
All right, you guys, we got all these fenders dialed in. which means next we need to worry about our old radiator core support. Now obviously we are not going to be able to use it as is because we have a massive coolant package right here. So first thing we have to do is we're going to cut out all these little ridges right here, that was for the donor truck grill and things like that. And then after that, we're going to test fit this guy. We are essentially hoping we can cut it out. We just measured it's about 10 inches from the center of these holes over, down, and kind of cut out the inside of all this. And then hopefully it'll kind of just fit right over everything, mount up to our factory
Like, it's
locations.
literally just the top piece that goes around.
If not, we'll have to do some more modifications, so we'll let you guys know. But there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's start cutting.
That engine bay looks so bare. It looks so bare. It's also wild to see the factory firewall.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it at this point. I don't even think we made the decision to do hydraulic brakes yet.
No. There's so much of this truck that was kind of like a decide as we go type of thing.
I think if we would have planned out the entire truck, it probably. I think if even say you came over in my house and we just did nothing but plan out how we're gonna build this thing, it still would have taken us about a year.
Yeah.
If we were like, okay, this is how we're gonna build it, let's buy all the parts, I think we would have been.
But it's wild because it's like,
Alright, you guys, Kyle just grinded off all these, sanding them down so that way we're not catching our arms, and obviously they need to be sanded down for the final product anyways. So that's all nice and smooth. And what I'm working on over here is the core support. So essentially, I know it looks like it's going down at an angle, but it's actually because this line right here, if you can see, jots in. So it's a little deceiving to your eye. So what we're gonna do next is, I marked it all out. We're gonna come in and cut this whole center section out. Like I said, hopefully that gives us enough space to where we can essentially just shove it over and everything works out properly. Now, probably won't happen like that, so we're prepared to either cut more of this out or kind of trash this idea and mock up our own thing. But we'd like to use
Simon,
this just
it's
because
a
all the
1976
factory bolting it does to these fenders.
Ford CrewCab.
It would save us a lot of time. Instead of having to figure it out ourselves, we can just essentially use that, modify it, and hopefully it works. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's cut this bad boy out and give her a test fit.
Well, what I was just saying before the update was, it sucks that this is like our first trial and error project.
Yeah,
because
no problem.
if we did it again, I feel like we could fly.
Oh. Hi. I think it's break time. I need a beer. And you need more wine. Joe's a fancy guy now that he's making millions on YouTube.
Not
and,
even.
He drinks wine.
Oh, so much wine.
Don't let it fool you.
I'll keep talking, everyone, while you go fill us up.
It's still bagged.
Okay, so Kyle's wife works at a vineyard, and essentially, or a winery, and essentially, she likes to bring stuff home for us to try, and about 99% of the stuff is garbage. Not garbage as in it's good bad. Wine. It's good wine. We have bad taste, right? We're not wine connoisseurs. So then today she brought a different wine from, it's semi-local. The area is just like a couple hours from where we live, and it's a bagged wine. And she's like, Joe, there's this wine I really want you to try. So I tried it, and it's very sugary, which is right up my alley because most wine is very bitter, very acidic. It burns the back of my throat, and I am not about it at all. So it's not my cup of tea in a short manner. So essentially, she did give me this wine, this bagged wine. Obviously, this isn't it, but this is what I was drinking out of. And it's not bad, right? It's very sugary. I'm sure it's very terrible for me. But that's the kind of wine I like, I guess. I guess I am a wine connoisseur now. So I guess we'll wait for Kyle to get back in. I do feel bad for Kyle because we do it at his house because he has this whole setup for his gaming. So he's got 3 monitors right here. He's got all the streaming platforms. He's got everything. He's got the mic. He's got the multiple cameras. He's got all the headphones, stuff like that. This is not my world at all. So I do feel bad in the sense that we come over here on Wednesday nights to do our lives, and he works very long hours as it is. So then on Wednesdays, he gets to work at like 5 or 6 in the morning and works until like 5 or 6 at night. And so I feel bad because he comes home, he like needs to shower, needs to eat dinner, and I'm already over here like, hey, we got to go live. Like, this is what we're doing. So that's why we're late sometimes. It sucks. I apologize. 8 o'clock works well for both of us because a lot of times he is off in time. But I do feel bad nights like tonight. He's like rushed. Like at the beginning, you saw him eating his dinner here. So I doubt going live on YouTube is the highest on his priority list when he gets done with work. But he's been a real trooper about it. He's super supportive about the channel. Obviously, he has a lot of knowledge when it comes to this stuff and brings a lot of skill and talent to this build. And also the future projects that we have, he's going to help out immensely. I'm pretty much like his child that asks dumb questions, and I'm sure I annoy him, but hopefully not. So thank you, Kyle, for putting up with me. But there's a lot of times that I'll ask Kyle, like, why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it this way? And it's not me undermining him. It's not like, Kyle, why are you doing this? Why do you think we should do this instead of this? It's me genuinely wanting to know because, like I said, I grew up in a household with no one is automotively inclined per se, and neither am I, right? Even after working on these vehicles and my own vehicles, I'm also not of the utmost knowledge when it comes to vehicles. So working with Kyle, it's a lot of fun because the guy is so damn smart when it comes to engines, rebuilding them, making things run. And so for me, I like learning from him. Obviously, he's super smart. So the questions I ask him are not me questioning him as to why we're doing things. It's me genuinely wanting to know why we are doing these things. And so it's cool to work on this project because he understands that it's my truck. It's my project. It's my money that I'm putting into this thing. But I also understand that without him, this isn't really possible. So we really feed off each other really well. I have my strengths and weaknesses. He has his strengths, and I don't think he has a weakness. So we'll just say strengths and strengths. So it's like a very good match made in heaven when it comes to building vehicles and content creation because essentially conjoining the twins, we can do a lot of stuff. So I'm super excited with the rest of this project. I'm super excited with future projects. We already have other projects lined up. We just need to get this thing done on the road, and we are going to be jumping to other projects. And it's all made possible by Kyle. So I was really hoping he'd be back here by the end of that rant. I just hyped him up for a couple minutes, and he's still not back. So I guess I have to talk about other things, which I don't know what to talk about. But going back to the recent video that we just posted, I know I talked about it a little bit earlier. In a couple episodes, you'll know why we had that cab. I originally bought the truck because I wanted to build it into a hauler. I thought it would have been super cool to have it hauled or hauling vehicles or use it for work. My dream with it was to slam it. I know that sounds super dumb. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I think truck haulers, like car haulers, I think they're so cool when they're slammed. I don't know why. I just really wanted to slam it. But we have other projects in the works, and so this was a perfect donor truck for the CrewCab. They're both 1976's F750s. The only difference is one's a CrewCab, one's a single cab. And so it was an ideal match made in heaven donor truck. And the funny thing is I actually bought the donor truck before I ever even knew about this truck, before I ever bought this truck. And so, okay, great question, Simon. So it's funny how that happened. So I bought the donor truck, wanted to have an idea with that. I really wanted a Dentside CrewCab for the longest time. And, okay, really quickly.
Yourself?
Yeah, really quickly. Simon's asking me questions, so I'm answering his question. Really quickly, this bag of wine. I don't know if we can have it on camera. Oh, there we go. Look at that. So look at the.
They're peaches.
Look at that. So I guess bagged wine is my thing. So going back to Simon's question, the inspiration for this project, this is actually a local truck.
This is local wine.
And a local wine. Look at us go. So this is a local truck that I had driven by countless times. I always wanted to stop and ask about it. But the people were kind of known for being rough around the edges. They had a lot of like, do not trespass signs. They had a lot of beware of dog signs, stuff like that. So one day on Facebook, on one of these CrewCab pages, it popped up and the guy's like, hey, have this F750 CrewCab for sale in Eagle, Idaho. And I'm from Caldwell, Nampa, the Boise area. I was like, what? That's local? So after looking at it, after contacting the guy, it was the same truck that I was always scared to like go up and talk about. And this guy that had this truck, he had Ford like T950s, T850s, which are like the big dump trucks from this era, with like the tandem rear axles, stuff like that. He had other super sweet trucks, but this is the only CrewCab. So I ended up buying it, and I originally took it to a shop to just get it running. I wanted to drive it, wanted to enjoy it with my kids, use it for work. But they thought the engine was toast. It wouldn't turn over. We later found out it was actually the transmission. That was, as soon as we dropped the transmission out of this, the engine turned over immediately.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to, I guess, talk down about any shops, but
I never even told Kyle what shop I took it to, so he has no
I don't
prior
know
information.
I don't know whose shop he took it to, but he took it there, and they told him the engine was bad and it was seized and it did not turn over. So when he brought it to me, he said the engine's seized, and I was like, oh, okay, no problem. So then I start like tearing into this thing. I tried turning the engine over. I was like, oh man, it doesn't turn over. I was like, And then they had the drive line ripped out of it before too. And I grabbed the tail shaft and I couldn't turn the transmission over. And Joe goes, well, they might have messed something up because when they started towing it, they picked up the front and they didn't disconnect the drive line. I was like, okay.
Well, I had thought, really quick, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Good.
When the tow truck was pulling into the shop, like the shop parking lot, Kyle will have to correct me on this. Even though he wasn't there, he'd probably have more knowledge on this than I would. When he was pulling in, it looked like the rear end locked up, and he essentially just dragged it from the road, I swear, all the way into the back parking lot. So my thought process was it was in neutral, right? Because the driveline was still attached. So the transmission was in neutral, and they were pulling it, like they were towing it. So my thought process is it slipped into a gear, and then they just dragged it the rest of the way in gear.
Could have.
While the rear end didn't spin. Does that make sense?
Yeah, could have.
And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, they just annihilated this transmission.
They very well could have. It was just like a 4-speed Clark transmission. But yeah, so anyway, we get the transmission out. The engine turns out fine. So this engine got replaced at some point. It has 20,000 miles on it. So we're probably gonna keep it for a build. And do something really dumb with it.
Yeah, we were thinking about just rebuilding it, just to rebuild it for content and keep it just for a future project, just to have a completely rebuilt engine ready to go. But anyways, back to Simon's question. So that's how I just wanted to get the truck running, driving, use it for work, stuff like that. Well, then they told me, oh, you'll need a new engine, you'll need all this work, and I was like, oh crap, like that sucks. So then I said, you know what? I have a 6.7 Power Stroke. Like let's just like go all out. And that's kind of where it originated from. I talked to Kyle. I ran track with his wife, and so that's how I knew Kyle. And kind of it's just snowballed from there. So it's actually funny, when I first bought this truck, I had completely different intentions with it. I had no idea I was going to make a YouTube channel. I had no idea we were going to do this extensive of work. So it's kind of a cool thing that it just kind of turned into very naturally. We just kind of let it play out. And here we are. But it's really funny because I'll post this on Reddit. I've posted this on TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that. And I've had people contact me and message me and say, dude, I've wanted that truck for so long. I used to drive by that thing like for 20 years. I'll have to show you messages on Instagram after this. I have a guy that's local that asked to come see it because he said he'd driven by this truck almost daily for the last 20 years. And then one day it was gone. And then a couple months later, he saw me posting pictures about it, posting videos about it. And he's like, oh my gosh, so like someone's actually doing something with this.
Tell us about what got you inspired in the project. Oh, he met me and figured he didn't have to actually work on it.
I'm like, so Kyle,
it's really easy to get a project done if you're not the one that has to do it. I'm just kidding.
That is so hard because anyone watching right now, I just went on a 5-minute rant before you came in about how awesome you are and how this whole project is about. I told everyone here, and you can go back and watch it. Brittany can watch it too. I said how this project would not even be possible without you. And now he's talking crap. But yeah.
Sometimes I'll be working on something, and I'm just like, I'll be like, I don't know if I get burnt out or something. And then I'll just kind of sit down working on whatever I'm doing, and then I'll just look over at Joe and watch Joe work for like an hour. And then like he'll turn around and he's like, how's it going over there? I'm like, oh, just kicking ass over here. Don't worry about me. I'm where I was since we started the day.
It is what it is. But that's also the perk of like working with a friend and like how kind of like the work environment is. We know this is a project. We know it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're on each other's asses like, oh, you didn't get that done today, huh? Or it's like, well, we get done what we can get done, and the next day we move forward and get done what we can get done, and then
some days we kick its butt, but then other days I don't know. It's just like
there was one time we took like multiple days to make like one bracket because Kyle and I are very similar in a lot of aspects. So like things he enjoys, I enjoy. So we'll start the day with high hopes, and then it's like, dude, you should see this funny video. And then we're like 2 hours into watching a YouTube video. Yeah. And then it's like, I don't really want to work. Do you want to go golf today? And like, that's literally how our day goes. So, but that's also, I feel like why we haven't gotten burnt out or like how we don't fight, knock on wood, because there is no expectation. It's like we just come and hang out with a friend and we get done when we get done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. Also, I feel like there's, you have to have the personality to want to get in arguments. You know what I mean? Like usually the people that get in yelling arguments with friends and stuff, like they get in yelling arguments with everybody.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's the thing. Total time till completion. Funny you should ask. A year ago, so yeah, about the time we got the engine set in and nothing else done, Joe's looking at me. He's like, "You think we can have this done? In about what, 6 months?" And I looked at Joe and I said, "No." I was like, "Maybe another year." And he's like, "Really? You think so?" And I'm like, I was like, being where we're at, I would not be surprised. And now, I know this is gonna. I hope I'm wrong, but I would not be surprised if it takes us another year from this spot, where we're currently at. Yeah. And what I mean, like another year, because when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, we're close to getting this thing functional, but it's coming all back apart again. So like it's gonna be the hardest thing, tearing this thing all back apart, so we can finish everything. Because right now everything's basically test fit.
Yeah.
And nothing's really cleaned up. Nothing's really like sharpened. Like we want to make sure everything's gonna work and that everything's gonna be completely functional. So when we tear it back down and we're going back together, we can clean up some of the welds. We can weld some other stuff. We can clean up edges, make it look professional. Add some rubber, rubber pieces in there to hide or direct airflow, just stuff like that to fine tune the whole project. So,
well, and Simon, Kyle and I have even talked about this. If we just wanted it functional and to drive, we could throw it together really quickly.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing is I don't want Kyle to spend all this time and effort on this just to have like a thrown together truck. Like we're already at this for multiple years. what's another year, 8 months or 10 months? Like,
Yeah.
essentially, we're gonna build it all, tear it all down, get everything painted, powder coated, like, and then do a final assembly. Like, I've seen trucks on YouTube or Instagram or like, you know, that people are driving that are these body swaps and these, you know, these 6.7 power stroke swaps or 6.0 swaps, and they're driving them around. I'm seeing them on Instagram videos, and I'm so jealous. But I'm like, they'll show pictures of their interior, and it's just like the driver's seat, and they'll make jokes like, oh, you know, I still got to do all the wiring and the dash and all the interior. And I guess, you know, if you just want to start driving your projects, then go for it. But for me, I'm like, it's already in the shop. We already have all this time and effort invested into it. Why just throw it together just to finally have it? Like, I would much rather take the extra time and effort to get it pretty much show worthy is essentially kind of what we're going for.
We're shooting. We want to keep trying to like use the best language for this. Exactly.
So actually,
that's exactly what we're going for. So the first show we're like, it's gonna be like our first show we want to take it to is gonna be Hot August Nights in Reno. So we're gonna take it there for the first show when this thing's done, and then we're hoping we get enough traction that we get asked to go to a lot of places, and where it's just like everyone's like, no, you got to go look at this truck, like it's insane. To where it's like, you know what I mean? That way, it's like if we get enough traction on this and enough people looking at this, it's gonna take off for more than just us. It's gonna help everybody and that's looking at this type of project, because once we do this truck, there's gonna be companies out there building motor brackets and all, you know, custom fenders and bumpers for this specific truck, so you can do different swaps in there.
Yeah, like Simon, him and I have talked about, the main reason why I started a YouTube channel on this was I kept looking up power stroke swaps into dent side Fords or power stroke swaps into old Fords, and everything I saw was a come and swap. Come and swap into a dent side, come and swap into a bump side, come and swap into a slick side. Like, that's all I found. And
they're not even C-class rated trucks.
Yeah, exactly.
They're pickup trucks. They're not.
Yeah. And so there's fabrication companies that sell you a engine mount that bolts right into your dent side Ford frame for a Cummins and stuff like that. There's nothing for 6.7s and like a detailed kind of video series on how to do it. Now, this isn't necessarily a how-to. This is just like how we did it. So there's a million ways to skin a cat. This is just the way we've chosen to skin a cat. And so that's why we wanted to do these lives, was we would essentially watch a video and kind of point out the things that we didn't do, the things that we should have done differently, stuff like that. Yeah. So that's the whole point of these live videos, is to kind of go over that. But that's the whole reason why I started it, was no one was doing 6.7 power stroke swap and had them in detailed videos. There's a couple videos of people that had power stroke swaps or like 6.0 swaps, but it wasn't a video series. It was just like, oh, look at my CrewCab that I put a 6.0 in. And then there's a lot of people that are interested, because these videos would have hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views, but it was just showing off what they did, which is cool. I watched them. I'm super jealous, but there's never like a how to do it. This is how you should do it. This is how we did it. This is what you should do differently. So that's essentially the whole reason why I even started a YouTube channel. So pretty much. But SEMA would be a cool goal. I can get us into SEMA this year. I don't think it'll be ready. I don't think it'll be... it could be ready, but I don't think it'll be up to our specs to be ready. So who knows? Maybe Kyle and I will be able to bust some work out, and but who knows?
Take 2 months off for it.
Sorry. Yeah, quit our jobs. But we appreciate that, and we're excited to get this truck on the road too. Trust me. You'll have to let us know what we're building. I'll have to check out your YouTube channel, or if you have an Instagram. The couple last lives, there's a guy that I actually went and found on Facebook, as creepy as that sounds. And he sent me pictures of his project. So he has a dent side CrewCab as well. He has an F600, but he bought a 450 or 550 chassis, like a 2005 F550 or something like that. And Yeah, he was super cool. Went and found him on Facebook. He sent me pictures. We talked about it. He jumps into these lives every now and again. So, yeah, if you have an Instagram, drop your Instagram or whatever. We'll have to check out your project.
Yeah.
But back to the video so we can see how many cuts it takes to cut this damn thing out. Also, it is kind of crazy how you use that latch so well. It's kind of like an underlining like flex that we don't ever talk about. It's crazy how well and how quick that goes compared to the air. But I mean, you burn through 1 million discs a minute.
Yeah, yeah. You make 4 cuts and discs are done. It's convenient if you need to cut something quick, but
Like one cut, really
longevity,
quick. Yeah.
It's good for rough cuts too.
Dear unbreakable spirit, you roam on paths called impossible.
Look how small that radiator was on that thing. Like it's so
Small
tiny. There you go, that's perfect. I heard Duramax swaps are extremely expensive, so Cummins is perfect.
With compound turbos, dang.
Are you keeping the original 91 Chevy frame, or are you doing like a body swap of the CrewCab onto a 12-out Cummins?
All right, you guys, we just got finished cutting this guy out. Essentially, it's pretty rough right now. Obviously, we got to clean it up, but we want to test fit it first to make sure that we are at least close to getting it fitting before we do any final cleaning up. Obviously, we got to take off some places we couldn't get to because when we cut out the rest of the core support, there's a lot of things for structural support and things like that that were kind of a pain to cut around. So what we're going to do next is we're going to actually toss it onto the truck, see how it fits, and if we need to take off any extra material. Hopefully not, but we'll let you guys know. All right, you guys, new day here. You might be able to tell by the red shoes. I'm like Tiger Woods on a Sunday. Anyway, here we have our radiator core support that we cut out last night. We took out the middle of everything to get it around this coolant package. Now, our goal is to essentially match up the bolt holes to the factory fenders so that way when the hood closes, we can use the factory latch. Everything is essentially where it is.
Speaking of welding
with
things
just
out,
a massive
when we
hole
take this
throughout the
apart,
middle.
this
So
is one of the big
right
things
now
that
it does
we'll do,
not
is, like,
work perfectly.
Get the rest of that attached to
these holes are
make it all
a little
clean
bit
and
off.
nice.
The radiator core support is a little high because of right here, the coolant package, this cross member is in the way. So essentially what we're going to do now is we're going to cut into this a hair bit. Probably have to notch it out just like that. And we're hoping that will give us enough space to bring down the whole radiator core support and be able to bolt it back up into the factory fender bolts that it came out of. So there's nothing to it but to do it. We're going to start getting cutting, and hopefully this works out and it'll be almost like factory.
I don't remember doing this. I mean, you know, I do, but
I
like
know.
not this really.
Here you guys go. Our core support fits. Now we had to take off a lot of material, especially considering that the original
It is kind of crazy
came about
how well
here,
the
came
top
down,
actually goes
and there's a
against
bottom
the radiator.
piece that went across to tie everything in together. So when we disassemble everything, what we're going to end up doing is just shaving this all the way around, tying it into there. Same thing on the other side. And then what we'll do is we'll box it in underneath, so that way everything is still firm. We still have a lot of rigidity for, obviously, support. And then when we come back here, we are going to add an overlay piece that will attach into here. So that way we're really tying everything in together, and it's just as strong as the original. But we got all the bolts in, everything's fitting perfectly. Obviously the hood latch should technically fit because we're attaching the factory holes from the core support into the factory fender holes. So the hood should be able to fit perfectly fine. But up next, we're actually going to start test fitting the grill. We know we're gonna have to cut out some of the cross members throughout, but we need to get it going on a game plan for that. So in the meantime, I'm gonna check out pictures from Kyle's trip to Alaska. That's my buddy. Oh, nice.
There's Nathan.
And we'll let you guys know what we come up with, and there's nothing to it but to do it. All right, you guys, we had to clean up the shop before we could cut into this guy. We have to start making some more room for everything that's going on. So our plan with the grill, we're gonna cut out everything where the grill naturally boxes itself in or frames itself. So essentially we're gonna cut down these natural lines right here, right here, right here, right here, top and bottom, keep working our way over here and down that side. What our game plan is for this is to essentially cut out as minimal material as possible, test fit it. If it rubs,
that's one thing we liked about the F750 was keeping the chassis and just doing an engine swap because
what we don't want to do is
essentially
cut out
kept
too much
the
of the grill
beefiness of the
material
F750.
and then just
So
kind of
for
be
like
screwed.
work, hauling,
I do have
putting
another
razors
grill
or dirt bikes
from
or whatever on the bed.
from our donor truck. I don't know if you've seen those
keep
videos.
pretty much the
that will work with this,
workability
same color,
of
same
a work
white,
truck
everything.
by just doing an engine
It's
swap.
actually in
So
better shape.
you
So
have
if we
an,
mess this one
a
up,
3500
we do
chassis and
have a
body, like
redemption
you have
grill
the
just in
bigger
case.
frame
Obviously,
and
we
all
don't
that
want to
stuff.
just cut into this, ruin it,
You're not
and
kind
move
of
on to
losing
another one.
any
So
usage
that's our
out
course
of
of
it.
action. We're going to cut out a massive rectangle out of here and put it up to the truck, see how it fits. So wish us luck, and there's nothing to it but to do it.
How easy it would have been if this would have fit just like perfectly in there. Oh my gosh. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Actually, we've had a lot of people say they like the new grill, so.
Really?
Yeah. I'll show you.
Cole, he's my miracle child. So how does your miracle child get cancer?
$28.47. Not bad actually. And then one of these, someone actually messaged me. Was like, I actually didn't even say that. He said it looks good. So yeah, not bad. Nice. We'll take it, boys.
Yes, the goal is to put in 100,000.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's cheaper to build a truck.
All right, you guys,
now.
update.
Like, if
So
you
we
have
ran
the
into the
time
issue
and
that
the
we
means and like
assumed
the
we were going
ability,
to run into, which was
like you
this
could build one of these
lower
cool trucks
portion
for way
of the
less than you
grill.
could buy a brand
It
new
obviously
truck. Like a
doesn't
brand
fit
new
with
like
the massive
2024
cooling
Platinum
package. That, the
F450.
675
Yeah, I
Short
mean that's
Turns down
convenient.
convenient.
You
Up
just
top,
go and
we
buy
actually
one and
fit
drive
really
one off
well.
the lot
There's
instead of
tons of
waiting
space.
3
I can
years.
fit my whole bunch of my hand underneath. So there's tons of space over there. On the right-hand side of the truck and the left-hand side of the truck, there's obviously tons of room around the coolant package. So the only issue is this lower portion. We had mentioned taking off this guy and putting it somewhere else, like in the back of the cab, things like that, or brainstorming where else to put it. But even with removing this, we're not gaining a ton of space, maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch. And well, I'll show you. We need a lot more than 3/4 of an inch. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to cut it out right here and right here, and allow us to be able to fully mount the grill into place and up against the fenders. That'll give us an idea of exactly how far out the coolant package sticks from the grill and from the body, and we can kind of make a game plan from there. At the end of the day, I think Kyle and I just agreed we're just going to make a custom grill for this, which will essentially angle out and wrap around, give us that extra space we need. We'll tie it into the top of the grill so everything looks like it's factory, but when you look lower, it'll have more of a bend to compensate for the larger coolant package. Now, I don't think you'll ever be able to notice that because our bumper will obviously be sticking out, and then our grill guard that we will build will also kind of hide that. So as long as we make the top and the sides look seamless and look like a factory
Was it a Cummins
grill,
swap or was it like
I don't
all
think you'll
original?
ever be able to notice the
Like a
bottom
resto
bend
mod?
around the coolant package. So there's nothing to it but to do it. I'm going to chop these out, get this grill installed, get this front end buttoned up, and call it a day. So stay tuned.
We also have something really cool that's going to go on the back of this thing. I talked to some family members of mine. They own a...
Did you talk to him about that?
I did.
Oh.
They own a very large welding outfit.
Are you talking about our first episode sponsor? Potentially?
They're so excited about the truck. He says we don't even have to sponsor it.
No, it's
I
gotta
know,
be
we're
a
going
PR.
to, we're going
yeah,
to, but
it makes me feel good. It makes Kyle and I feel good that we actually have an episode sponsor.
no,
And
yeah. So this guy. So anyway, they're gonna build a custom flatbed for this thing that is gonna just be like as good as like better than you can buy anything off the market. Where when I talked to him, I told him I wanted like steps that will store inside the bed itself and pull out so you can actually get up on top if you want to. And he was like, "Oh yeah," it's like, "Yeah, you get the truck down here, we can," because he has a laser or a plasma table that's like a 12x12.
so you can cut some big pieces.
And then they have a assembly table, so it's 100% flat and level, so they can literally build it all up on this big table, get everything completely built, and then just put it on.
You know, it'd be cool that would be to have this running, and then that's just like one of the videos. We drive down to Utah because they're in Elko, right? Or
Yeah, Elko,
we drive to Elko.
Nevada.
Yeah, just get her all on and.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a cool episode. I think when we do that, it'll be one of those where we go down there probably for the first day, do a whole video series on the shop.
Dude, that would be sweet.
And then, because he says he's gonna do it on his off time, and then he's gonna build it himself, and then probably when we go to pick it up, we'll drive back down there and see how it looks.
Dude, that'd be so cool. Yeah, we could have one video of us just pulling up to the shop, doing like a walk around, and then maybe like a
and
couple.
then literally a reaction video of what it looks like.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool.
So yeah, we're just basically gonna say, yeah, tell us how much we need to buy a material and just do what you want.
That's gonna be so cool.
So
I'm like a pig in mud right now.
anyway. Resto Mod 2020 Chevy Duramax chassis. Okay. It's a Resto Mod $120,000.
That's what everything's bringing. I see all these resto mods or like these just restoration, like the inside crew cabs and stuff like that. They're selling for 100,000 plus constantly.
Oh, look at me. I was building the stand that we needed.
Yeah, look at you.
All right, you guys, we got the grill in place. Obviously, this isn't its final resting location. We have body lines to match up. We have things like that. However, for the sake of figuring out where the grill sits in correlation to the coolant package, this will work. It's close enough on each side, bottom and top, with the hood down, everything. So what I went ahead and did was I did leave a little bit of material here instead of just cutting it straight down, because I figured we can always go back and cut more off, or
Literally cutting it off as like the last weekend.
if we want to attach a lower piece of metal from side to side, which we are going to do, having a little bit more area to work with will probably be beneficial when it comes time to do that. So, but the consensus has come back, and we still have quite a bit of room to make up. So what we're going to do is we are going to remove this, find a new location for it.
Messaged me.
Which at the end of the day is no big deal.
I was like,
all
dude,
that
this is the
means
coolest thing ever. He was like,
A,
it
run
gives it
longer
like a
lines,
Baja
and B,
style
figuring
feel.
out the
Like,
fluid
oh, that's actually kind of
for
true.
it
Like,
because of the longer
I had
lines
tons of people
to
like,
keep the
dude,
pressure
like
and things like
this
that.
looks so good. Like, I can't
get
believe
that out of
Ford
the
just made
way,
a big flat
and
piece.
with
I'm
that gone, we will have adamant.
Hell yeah.
We're very persistent. We will have adequate amount of space to run a grill across the face and cover the coolant package. The idea is to have it coming off of these scallops per se from the old grill and start it right here. It'll just come around, bend nicely. The grill does have a slight curve to it up top.
Isn't it
So
crazy
what
how the
we'll do is
top
we'll
would have
attach
fit?
it
It's because it's at
up
an
underneath
angle.
here along that whole
So
entire
that kind of
line,
sucks.
and have it come down here. We'll have to figure something out right here to make it look natural with these bends. And then the bottom is actually going to have more of a curvature around and meet up over here. And the reason for that is because the coolant package naturally sits at an angle. So we got to make sure the top looks factory and the bottom can be not so factory, but at the end of the day, it'll still look nice with the bumper and the grill guard and things like that. So that's where we're going to end it for today. Obviously, we don't have a CNC machine. We obviously don't have a laser to cut out the grill, but for the sake of getting the whole front clip back together, the hood down, everything like that, it's been a success. Now we just got to start designing a grill and figuring out where all we want to put that. So that's a project for another day. All right, you guys, that's going to be a wrap for today's episode. We got everything done on the CrewCab that I wanted to accomplish. We got the cab back into place. We got the hood mounted. We got the fenders mounted. We got the grill installed, which means up next we get to attack the interior of the CrewCab. That's actually why I'm here at the parts truck right now. I have to start making a list of parts that we do and don't have in order to complete one full interior for the CrewCab. So keep an eye out for that interior episode on the CrewCab, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Just like that. And just like that. Well, we kind of talked our ears off throughout the video, so there's nothing else to talk about.
I know. Yeah.
I think we're going to call it a night. Go in there, and we always talk to Kyle's wife afterwards, and she tells us what we did and didn't do right in our live.
Tells me how dumb I am.
Yeah. I can't believe you guys would say that. So we go in for a nightly scolding.
Not
So,
really.
no, I'm kidding. She's really nice. But we really appreciate everyone that watched, everyone that commented. Whiskey Dance, Simon, good luck with your project. Whiskey Dance, I don't.
Also, keep us posted too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Every Wednesday we jump online for live, so give us a weekly update on kind of where you're at with your project. Whiskey Dance, like I said earlier, is doing a giveaway on his truck. Also, go check out his CrewCab because he makes me very jealous. So we appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Anything, Kyle?
No, we'll have another short video up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So
Taking the Jeep out. We were supposed to do it this weekend, but
Kyle overbooked.
plans- I overbooked. I did not overbook.
I was so hyped to go out, make a video,
I
and
know,
go
Dude, it would have been a blast.
and go trail riding, and then Kyle's like, "We don't have room for you." I'm like, "Oh."
No, we had room. We had room for Joe, but
Yeah.
he was gonna invite his girlfriend to come, which we told him he should, and then we had other people invite other people, and then I was.
Kyle had family in town, so it made sense. I wasn't offended. It was a
I felt
family
bad.
weekend trip.
I felt bad.
But it would have been a cool. That's one of the videos we're gonna post here in a couple weeks. Is we're gonna go trail riding, and get some cool shots of his new Jeep Gladiator. So it's whatever. I got uninvited.
Took it up some rock crawling stuff.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's a wrap. we'll see you guys next Wednesday. We'll have another video out here in a couple weeks. We're almost done with the front grill, so that'll be a video posted in a week or two. And yeah, pretty much it.
Sweet. Bye-bye.
Bye. Wait, I gotta wave until he hits stop streaming. Bye. Stop streaming.